When God interrupts your life to awaken the dark chosen one within. There are moments in life that feel like everything is falling apart. But what if I told you those moments were warnings from God, not punishments, not curses, but divine interventions to wake you up from a dream you didn't know you were trapped in? When you are a dark chosen one, your life will not move like everyone else's. You will not be allowed to stay asleep. You will not be permitted to settle for mediocrity. And so God sends disruptions not to destroy you, but to redirect you. The first warning comes in the form of sudden loss, a job, a relationship, your health, or even your identity. You feel like life has betrayed you, but in truth, it's God snatching away what no longer aligns with your soul's contract. You scream, "Why me?" But the real question is, what if that collapse was the only way to rebuild you into who you were meant to be? You see, dark chosen ones are not given comfort. We are given calling, and calling often comes dressed as chaos. The second warning from God is profound isolation. People stop calling. You feel invisible. Even your closest relationships begin to drift. At first, you think you're being punished. But if you look deeper, you'll realize this is divine quarantine. God is pulling you away from the noise, the projections, the illusions, so that you can hear your own soul. It's in this silence that your real voice begins to surface. It's when no one is clapping that your truth becomes clear. But isolation is painful. It brings up old wounds of abandonment and worthlessness. That's the test. God is asking, can you stand in your own presence without needing to be seen? Can you be your own witness when no one else is watching? The third warning is even more subtle, but it cuts to the core. It's when everything in your life starts to feel fake. Conversations feel forced. The job that once inspired you now feels like a performance. The goals you chased no longer excite you. You're not broken, you're being disenchanted. God is removing the glamour from the illusions. You're waking up from the matrix, and it's disorienting. You try to go back to your old life, but it tastes like cardboard. You try to pretend, but your soul won't allow it anymore. This is the moment you realize you cannot unknow what you've now seen. You cannot unfeel the truth your soul has whispered. So you either keep pretending and slowly die inside, or you let it all burn and walk into the unknown. Which will you choose? The fourth warning is repeated patterns. The same toxic relationships, the same financial struggles, the same internal battles. You begin to notice that no matter where you go, the storm follows. And that's when it hits you. You are the storm. Not in a destructive way, but in a transformative way. These patterns are not curses, they are codes. Each repetition is a prompt from God. Will you finally face this? Will you finally break the cycle? Because the dark chosen ones are not just here to heal themselves, they are here to end generational cycles. And to do that, you will be forced to confront the very thing your ancestors avoided. You will carry the weight of their silence, their fear, their pain, and you will choose to transmute it. That is your mission. That is your contract. And yes, it is sacred. The fifth warning is what I call spiritual whiplash. One moment you feel guided, in flow, on fire. The next you feel abandoned, confused, emptied out. This spiritual volatility is not a glitch, it's training. God is teaching you how to stabilize your own frequency. Because if your power is dependent on external signs, you are still a servant of circumstance. But if you can hold your alignment in the absence of confirmation, then you are sovereign. The universe is not punishing you by going quiet. It's handing you the keys to your internal kingdom. And the question becomes, can you keep believing even when nothing is working? Can you stay faithful in the void? Because the void is not emptiness, it's initiation. It's where God watches silently to see who you really are without the crutches. Then comes the sixth warning, and this one is personal. Your triggers intensify. You'll find yourself reacting to things that didn't used to bother you. Old wounds resurface. Childhood patterns scream louder. And again, it feels like regression, but it's not. It's refinement. God is pulling out the roots, not just the weeds. You're not just healing the symptom, you're healing the source. And that requires pain, the kind of pain that demands presence, the kind of pain that doesn't let you distract yourself anymore. You'll want to run, numb, escape. But if you stay, if you breathe through it, feel through it, surrender into it, you'll find something beneath the pain. Power. The kind of power that can't be faked, the kind that only comes from facing your darkness and not flinching. And finally, the seventh warning is the most divine. Your dreams become more intense, more prophetic, more symbolic. You start to see visions, numbers, symbols, even messages from ancestors. Your sleep is no longer rest, it's revelation. God is now speaking to you directly, bypassing the logical mind. And your job is to listen, to decode, to trust. These dreams are not just vivid, they're instructions. They are telling you what you're here to do, who you're here to become, what you're here to dismantle and rebuild. But only if you're willing to take them seriously. Only if you stop dismissing the supernatural as coincidence. Because when God chooses a soul for sacred work, He speaks in layers, in symbols, in frequencies. And if you're hearing the call in your sleep, it means your soul is finally awake. So I ask you now, not as entertainment, but as a soul-to-soul invocation, which of these warnings have you been ignoring? Which messages have you mistaken for misfortune? And are you willing to finally stop resisting and start listening? How the universe speaks in symbols, fire, and silence to prepare the chosen. When you are marked as a dark chosen one, God no longer speaks to you in the language of the masses. He doesn't shout through sermons or write His will across billboards. He whispers through symbols, through silence, through synchronicities so precise they feel like hallucinations, and yet they are real. The problem is, we were taught to trust only what we can touch, measure, or explain. But when you are being prepared for divine assignment, none of those anchors hold. God switches languages on you. The more awake you become, the more cryptic your guidance becomes. Why? Because your soul must learn to feel truth, not just think it. You are being taught the language of alignment. And that language is not spoken, it's sensed. It's when you walk into a room and something in your chest tightens, even though everyone is smiling. It's when you dream of a snake, and the next day betrayal slithers into your life. It's when you see the same number for 7 days straight, and suddenly know it's time to leave. This is not madness. This is spiritual literacy. When God begins to train you in this way, He will often speak through fire. Not literal flames, though sometimes even that, but through destruction, through the burning away of everything false. You'll notice that every time you try to go back to the old version of you, something collapses. You try to rekindle an old relationship, and it implodes. You try to return to an old job, and it drains you within days. You try to think like your old self, and your body responds with anxiety or illness. This is not coincidence. This is divine resistance. God is using fire to close doors you won't, because He sees what you're meant to become, and He loves you too much to let you settle. So when things fall apart, ask not, why is this happening to me? But what part of me is still clinging to a life that no longer fits my destiny? Then God begins to speak through people, but not always in the way you expect. Sometimes He sends mentors, strangers, or even enemies to deliver messages. Someone you barely know says something that haunts you for months. Someone you deeply trust does something that breaks you wide open. Don't dismiss either. Every soul you encounter becomes a mirror, some reflecting your light, others your shadow. And if you're truly listening, you'll begin to see patterns, the same archetypes repeating, the same types of betrayal, the same types of inspiration, again and again. This is spiritual curriculum. God is not just sending you people, He's sending lessons wrapped in skin. So ask yourself, what is this person here to show me about myself? What wound are they pressing on? What truth are they forcing me to finally face? That's how you stop taking things personally and start taking them prophetically. But perhaps the most advanced language God uses is silence. And this is the one that breaks most people, because we've been taught that silence means absence. That when we pray and hear nothing, it means we're alone. But in the spiritual realm, silence is not absence, it's activation. When God goes quiet, it's because He has already spoken. He's waiting to see if you trust what was said. Can you walk without constant reassurance? Can you obey without applause? Can you hold the frequency without feedback? This is when the real test begins. Because if you can hold your power in the silence, you become dangerous to the system. You become immovable. And that's when new instructions start to arrive. Not in noise, but in knowing. Not in answers, but in alignment. And those who can move by knowing, not by needing, are the ones who shift timelines. As you learn to decode God's language, your body becomes a tool of discernment. You'll feel chills when truth is spoken. You'll feel tightness when something is off. Your intuition becomes louder than your logic. And this is not New Age fluff. This is ancient. Our ancestors didn't have Google. They had gut. They navigated the world by feeling energy, not reading data. And you are being called back to that sacred intelligence. Because your mind can be lied to, but your soul cannot. So the next time you feel uneasy around someone, don't explain it away. The next time you feel drawn to a place or a book or a moment, pay attention. God is not random. Every nudge you feel is part of a larger orchestration. The question is, are you still asking for signs you've already been given? There will come a point on your journey where the universe begins to test your fluency in this divine language. You'll be guided to do things that make no sense on paper. Leave a job that pays well. Move to a city you've never been to. End a relationship that looks perfect, and everyone around you will think you've lost your mind. But deep down, you'll feel peace, not comfort peace. Because peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of clarity. And when you walk in that clarity, even if the whole world doubts you, you will know, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is how God filters the faithful from the fearful. He doesn't test you with logic. He tests you with leaps. So again, I ask you, are you willing to obey the whisper when it contradicts the world's scream? And finally, once you've proven that you can hear God in symbols, in fire, in people, and in silence, He begins to entrust you with others. You'll find people drawn to you, asking questions, seeking guidance, feeling safe to unravel in your presence. And this is when you realize you have become the message. Your life is now a living transmission. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convince. Your energy speaks louder than your words, but this comes with weight. You must now live in alignment, not just for yourself, but for those who are watching, hoping, searching. You must be the embodiment of the path you once walked in confusion, because now you are the symbol. You are the sign someone else is praying for. And your obedience could be the activation of their awakening. How to carry the weight of divine power without losing your soul. When the veil has been torn, when you've learned to hear God not with your ears but with your being, a sacred shift occurs. Power begins to flow to you. Not the kind of power the world chases, status, fame, dominance. No, this is divine power. The kind that rearranges rooms. The kind that bends reality. The kind that awakens dormant souls just by your presence. But here's the truth that few will tell you. This power is not a reward. It's a responsibility. And the final test of the dark chosen one is not about awakening, it's about stewardship. Can you hold this power without turning it into poison? Can you carry the weight of influence, of insight, of spiritual authority without serving your ego? Because once God places that crown of unseen fire on your head, the temptations do not disappear. They intensify. You will be tempted to use your insight to manipulate, to use your voice to control, to use your presence to gain followers instead of free souls. It happens subtly. You'll notice people hanging on your every word. You'll be praised, elevated, even worshipped by those who are still asleep. And if you're not vigilant, you'll start to believe it. You'll forget that the power moving through you is not yours. It is borrowed breath. It is sacred electricity. It is not meant to be owned but channeled. The fall of many spiritual leaders begins right here, at the peak of their influence, when the applause gets louder than the inner whisper. So the question becomes, can you remain empty enough for God to keep pouring through you? You must build internal scaffolding strong enough to carry what's coming. This means radical humility. It means waking up every day and remembering, I am not the source, I am the signal. It means checking your heart when your words move crowds. Are you feeding their dependency or awakening their sovereignty? Are you creating followers or activating leaders? Because the true dark chosen ones are not here to be worshipped. We are here to disrupt worship of anything other than God. That includes ourselves. We are not here to be loved. We are here to liberate. And liberation is messy. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes being obedient to God means losing people, breaking illusions, being rejected by the very ones you were sent to awaken. The next challenge you'll face is energetic hygiene. When you carry divine power, people will unconsciously try to drink from your light. They'll project onto you. They'll dump their pain at your feet. They'll confuse your presence with their salvation. This is why so many chosen ones burn out. They don't know how to protect their field. You must learn boundaries that are not born from ego, but from alignment. You are not here to save everyone. You are not here to be available all the time. You are not a faucet of endless healing. You are a well that must be refilled. And that refilling doesn't happen in crowds. It happens in stillness, in nature, in solitude, in prayer. You must protect your connection to Source above all else, because once that cord is severed, everything else becomes performance. Another test will be the illusion of arrival. You will reach a certain level of peace, clarity, and mastery, and your ego will whisper, "You've made it." But that is a trap. The journey of the dark chosen one is eternal evolution. There is no mountaintop. There is only the next layer, the next wound, the next level of surrender. The moment you think you've arrived is the moment you stop listening. And when you stop listening, you start drifting. Spiritual stagnation is the beginning of spiritual decay. So stay a student, stay in awe, stay on your knees, not in weakness, but in reverence. Because the more you know, the more you realize you know nothing. And that sacred humility is what keeps your channel open. Then comes the test of legacy. This is where God asks you, what will last when you are gone? It's not your brand, not your followers, not your content. It's the truth you planted in people's souls. It's the freedom you activated, the change you helped break, the courage you inspired. That's the real work. And it doesn't always go viral. It doesn't always get seen, but it echoes through generations. So ask yourself, am I building a platform or a portal? Am I here to be known or to leave behind a frequency that outlives me? Because the true chosen ones are not focused on impact. They are focused on integrity. And from that integrity, impact becomes inevitable. And finally, the last test is the most sobering. Can you walk away? Can you let go of what you built if God says so? Can you move to a new land, start again, disappear from the spotlight, release the identity even when it's thriving? Because sometimes obedience will look like abandoning your own success. Sometimes God will ask you to leave the very thing He once led you to, not because it was a mistake, but because your assignment has shifted. And only those who are willing to lay down the crown will ever truly reign in the Spirit. So I ask you one last time, are you still willing to be chosen, even if it costs you everything? Because being chosen was never about power. It was about purity. It was about becoming a vessel so clean, so surrendered, so aligned, that God could move through you without distortion. That's what makes you dangerous to darkness. Not your charisma, not your gifts, not your knowledge, but your obedience, your integrity, your invisible surrender. That's the real crown. And it doesn't sit on your head, it burns inside your soul. And now we arrive at the place where very few ever reach, the afterglow of obedience, where silence is no longer absence, but presence, where peace is no longer a reward, but a weapon of clarity. You start to see the world differently, not through the lens of survival, but through the lens of assignment. You don't wake up asking, what should I do today? You ask, what does my frequency need to shift today? Because you're no longer just a person, you're a portal. You don't walk into rooms hoping to be liked. You enter with the awareness that the atmosphere will either rise to meet your truth or flee from your presence. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You've been refined in fire, stripped of illusion, emptied of ego. And now you carry something that cannot be faked. Divine authority. The kind of presence that makes liars stutter, makes truth feel heavier, and makes the unseen bow in recognition. But even here, even after all the awakenings and initiations, you will still face moments of doubt. Because that's the final layer of initiation, the humanness that never leaves. You'll still feel grief. You'll still get triggered. You'll still have moments where you question everything. And that's okay. God never asked you to be perfect. He asked you to be willing. He asked you to stay open, to keep listening, to keep refining. The difference now is that your lows don't destroy you, they deepen you. Your pain doesn't derail you, it purifies you. You start to see every emotion, every challenge, every shadow not as a flaw, but as fuel. Nothing is wasted. Not the betrayal, not the heartbreak, not the delay. It all becomes sacred data, a library of wisdom encoded in your spirit. And you begin to understand your scars are not shameful, they're scripture. Eventually, you become the kind of person who doesn't just speak truth, you embody it. And people feel it. They can't always explain it, but they know it when they're around you. They feel safer, more honest, more awake. That's the ripple effect of a dark chosen one who has passed the test, not because you said the right things, but because you became the right frequency. That's how you change the world. Not by convincing it, but by transmuting it. One moment at a time, one conversation at a time, one act of obedience at a time. And slowly, without trying to go viral, without needing to be seen, a new world begins to emerge around you. One that's built on alignment, not performance. On presence, not perfection. On truth, not trends. And you realize this is what I was born for. Not to be famous, not to be safe, but to shift the atmosphere of Earth itself. So if you've made it this far and something in your soul is trembling not with fear but with recognition, then hear me now. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply being refined for a mission that requires a level of depth most will never understand. And that's okay. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be remembered by the right ones. The ones whose souls recognize yours. The ones who feel free just by being near you. The ones who, because of your alignment, wake up to their own. That's the impact you carry now. That's the legacy you're building. Not in algorithms, but in eternity. So walk accordingly. Speak carefully, love fiercely, and above all, never forget who you are when the world tries to make you forget. You are a dark chosen one, not because you asked to be, but because God saw in you what even you couldn't yet see in yourself. And now, the world will. If you're ready, I can now help you turn this into a full, viral, cinematic video experience with scene directions, voiceover tone, transitions, music cues, and more.